All right. So the government's still shut down. It's October 24th. They shut down on the 1st. And I still don't have my Library of Congress number. So what I decided to do in the meantime was I figured I would upload my book to KDP and then request a proof copy so I could at least be working on that part while I waited for the LCN. That turned out to be an adventure, and I will show you why. So I'm going to jump over to KDP. Just save and continue here. Let's see if it'll let me go to my bookshelf. Okay. So you can see I have created the what do they call that? Created a book. Create a new title or series. So there was a button there. I clicked on that, and I got it rolling. But it was a little trickier than I had hoped for, and I'm going to walk through that. So let's see. Let's go to Manage Title. How do I edit this? Oh, Continue Setup. That's probably it. Okay, so we went into the paperback details. I put in title, no series, there's no edition number, author is myself, no contributors, the description, which I think I talked about before that I used Chat GPT, it was Copilot, anyway, some AI tool to put this together, and then I made some refinements and edits and overhauled it, so I put that there. It's also the same one that appears on my book, so on the back cover, this is the same description. I of course own the copyright. There is no sexually explicit images or content in it at all, so no. And then I set the age that I thought it was appropriate for, primarily on Amazon.com is where it's going to sell. Selected my categories, and the interesting thing is in Chat GPT, they I think as I was going through that dialogue, it asked me if it wanted to recommend some categories. I didn't necessarily go with what it said, but it's a good starting point. And then it also generated some keywords. So I used the keywords generated from ChatGPT, made a few little refinements. And let's see, the publication date and release time are the same, and then release my book for sale. So whenever I save and submit this, then it'll be up for sale. But I didn't yet. I went into step 2, and this is, so let's say save and continue. So I went into the paperback content, and this is where I ended up down a rabbit hole. So I put the ISBN in, and then I got to publisher Imprint. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I went over to Bawker, which is myidentifiers.com, or you can go to Bawker Publishing Services. Bawker, search for ISBN. Bawker will come up. My identifiers, I logged into my account, which is where all of my, if I were to go to my identifiers, it would show me all my ISBNs that I purchased. I purchased the package. But then I went into my company information, and this is where, so I noticed this is where you can get your publisher Imprint. So I was a little confused on imprints because before it had my old media company, Arcturus Media, was up here listed. You can edit the organization name right there. So I changed that just to my own name, and then I noticed down here it said that Kindle Direct KDP, if you've been asked for your imprint name, you're being asked for the name of the company. So then I did some research on that and found out that really, this can be anything. I'm essentially a sole proprietor right now. I could set up an LLC, but I did that in the past with a media company. It was just basically selling photos and licensing different things. I didn't make a ton of money at it, but the cost of the annual renewal for the LLC, and the thing that really killed me was the business license, which was a couple $100 a year or something like that. So I'm all my profits are just going down the dumps here with these two fees. And so if I sell 1 million copies of the book and make decent money, then I'll go set up an official LLC and and business license, get all that rolling. But for now, I'm not generating anything, so I'm essentially a sole proprietor. And looking this up, it said basically for the organization name or for your imprint, you can just choose whatever name you want. So rather than putting Brandon Kowalis up there, I decided to work with Chat GPT again to see if I could identify some cool, what do they call those? The imprint, cool imprint names. And so I fed it a whole bunch of stuff, just a bunch of different prompts, and kind of worked through it. And finally came up with this one, Stonefire Press, which I did a search online just to make sure that there isn't already some big company called Stonefire Press or a little company or anything out there. And I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a good name. So I had my name up there, and then I went down here and typed in Stonefire Press and add imprint. Well, that apparently was a mistake, because it still said here that if on KDP your imprint is and it had Brandon Kowalis right there. So I'm like, oh, dang it. So then I decided to change the name to Stonefire Press. So over here on the organization name, I clicked on that, changed the name. And then I noticed down here it says, do not add an imprint that is the same name as your company, organization, publisher name. So then we had Stonefire Press, and then underneath there, Stonefire Press. And I'm like, oh, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I had to email Bacher, get that changed and updated. And now we're down to, this is the publisher, Imprint. So then once that was taken care of after a couple of days, went in here and I entered the ISBN and the publisher / the imprint. So then I selected the type of paper, the trim size, which I'd set before in design. This is going to be, there's a bleed on it because the first couple of pages in the document have where it spills over into the edges of the page. In fact, I'll show you real quick here. So let's see, let's just open the title pages here. So you can see this comes all the way to the edge, so it goes a little off. There's the bleed, and I'm going to trim it right there to make sure that graphic comes all the way to the edge. Same as right here. So it's set up with the bleed, and I like matte books better than glossy, so I chose matte. And then I went to upload the manuscript, and this is where I realized that I needed to update my bleed for the manuscript. So I came back over here into InDesign, and I essentially went into, so I'm in this document here, and let's see, we just click on the background here. We're going to adjust the layout. So we got the bleeds here, top, bottom, inside, and outside. They were all set to 0.25 just because it spread across, but I really need this inside to not have a bleed. The graphics are going to come right to the edge of it. Plus, it's going to be part of the binding, and so it's going to, it's naturally going to cover up a little bit of that. So there's kind of this built-in bleed. So I updated that, and then I went to export the book. So to export the book, I selected all of these. So click on the first one, shift and click. And then I went into here, and then to export the book to PDF. So we will, let's see. I'm just going to save it. I'll just call this, because I'm going to delete it. And then we'll save that there. On the settings, it recommended a lot of the forums and stuff, and I think on KDP as well, it recommended using the PDFX-1A 2001. So I selected that. The reason why it says modified is because I checked the bleeds, which is not a default. So I made sure it was checked to export pages, not spreads. And then we come over here to the marks and bleeds and said use document bleed settings. Now, one thing that I found was important here was that the document it's going to use is, if I cancel this, is the one that the style source is at, I believe. I think that's how it works. Because otherwise, if I selected one of these where I don't have a bleed, then we can try and see. Maybe I'm wrong. And then I export it, And then I come into bleeds. Oh, looks like it still is grabbing. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. I thought it mattered, but it was a test. I guess it didn't matter. Anyway, if this is not checked, then you can manually type those in for the whole document, but I just said use the bleed settings, and it made sure that the inside was set to 0. Anyway, that was it. And then after that, we went ahead and exported the file. I'm not going to export it. And then came back here and clicked upload the manuscript and uploaded it. And voila, there it was. Whether or not that's right on the bleeds, it's hard to tell in the preview. I guess we'll find out when I print a proof. So that was done. Now the next part, this is where it also gets a little crazy and tricky. So with this one, it says use the cover creator, which I didn't because I designed my own in InDesign. And then I went to upload the cover, so I uploaded it, it came in, and where I ran into problems, and I also left that unchecked. I left a space for the barcode, and so Amazon then inserts the barcode for me for free. Instead of, I mean, you can actually go over into Bocker here, and there is a place in your identifiers where you can generate a barcode. It's like 25 bucks a piece. So Amazon does it for free. I'll take that. So then let's see, I checked no on AI generated, because remember I did use AI to generate the description on the back. Everything else inside was all me and my editor. But when I clicked, so I was going to click yes, just to, be honest. And I did use some images on the cover that were AI generated, just that tiny little one. The rest was all me, doing the design of my photos and everything. So I selected this, and I just said I had one or fewer images with very minimal edit, or no, it was with extensive editing. So there's a ton of editing done on those. But then the text, inside the book, there's really no text translation I didn't use, but it doesn't give me the option to say there was no AI used. So I just went ahead and checked no, because either way, I'm not honest if I select no, and if I select this, I'm not honest if I had one of these. So I'm going to check no. And then, so now I got to the launch previewer. And when I clicked on this originally, the previewer, so we'll take a second to open up. This is where I ran into problems. When I first opened it, this document was this blue line here was all the way up in the top. And this was cropped off at the bottom. And I'm just what the heck? Because I followed the specs exactly. In fact, here's the cover calculator. And you'll see that it says height, this is the full cover, including the bleed, is 8.25 inches. And the width with the bleed is 11.31. Of course, I removed, so when I set up my document, I set it up at 8 by 11.06 or something like that, minus 25, or the 0.25 quarter. So I set up my document exactly like this. Then when I exported it, I exported the bleed on the cover, and then when I uploaded the document, like I said, everything was exactly. This was way off. So I'm what the heck? And I ended up going to contact Amazon, and I reached out to them, and I'm so what's up with this? My document is set up exactly the way you prescribe on the cover, and it's all wonky. And they're not our problem. It's if you're using InDesign, you need to readjust things in InDesign. So I look at it, I'm but it's perfect in InDesign. And I look at the PDF, and it's it's perfect. And if somebody's designing using another program, they export it as a PDF, that's an Adobe software. So anyway, what I ended up doing, since they couldn't help me, was went back into InDesign, and I created this cover test. So this was the exact dimensions at 8.25 by 11.6, and I created these colors. So these are just boxes. So that's in the back. Different colors to indicate where the bleed, the trim, and the safe margin was at, and then also where the what's this part called? I don't remember what that's called. The spine of the book. so where the spine was. And then what I ended up doing was saving this out. I would come over here to, I'd exit the preview. So I'd come re-upload the file and then preview it again. And it's like, okay, well, the bleed and the trim are fine on the sides, but on the top and the bottom, it's like way off. So then I come back over here and then I adjust the let's see, go into the properties, and I would adjust this down a quarter. So I adjusted it to 8 because this was fine for some reason. Adjusted it to 8, removed my boxes, shuffled those around a little bit, and then I uploaded the document. And so I did that until like I finally got to a point where it's like, okay, now I've got, whenever I upload this page here, the different colors correspond with these lines right here. And so anyway, I did that. And then finally, when I figured it out, I just went back in and created this version of the file, which I adjusted for Amazon, which was basically taking it down to 8 inches on the document or the bleed side. So I reduced it from 8 to 8.25. Wait a second. That's funny. So right now I just had this epiphany. So let's see, let's go back over here to the calculator. 8.25 total. Yeah, so it looks like number 2. Okay, that was my mistake. So, okay, it was totally on me. This shouldn't have been 8.25. Originally, it should have been 8. So, hey, well, that's embarrassing. Anyway, adjusted it to 8. That's how I figured out if, I guess, hey, well, that comes in handy if for some reason yours don't line up. There's a trick to figure it out. Yeah, I guess I can't really throw Amazon under the bus. It should have worked out fine if I just would have adjusted it right. Okay, and that's super cool. All right, so awesome. So I went ahead and then finally went through all that, and then exported it out, uploaded the file. Where am I going now? Uploaded the file, and now everything looks great. So now we are back in business, which is awesome. And so once I did that and got everything working, let's see where we're at. Let's exit the previewer. I went ahead, saved and continue. It generated the amount it thought it was going to cost for me to print. So this is the base cost for printing. And then I later have to pick a price. But I think we're going to stop for now, right? Oh, wait, there was one other thing too. I did use, also you'll notice back here in InDesign, there's this cool little logo. And if I go to the title pages, we'll open those back up here. Oh, wait, that's not the title pages. That's the prologue. So you'll notice I got this Stonefire Press. I also had Chat GPT generate that, pulled it into Illustrator, picked a different font, adjusted some little things right here, and now I've got a logo for my imprint, and we're ready to rock and roll. So I think we're going to leave it at that today because that's as far as I got, and because now I'm like embarrassed by the fact that I should have had the document set up to 8 instead of 8.25. Yeah, and that's all we have to say about that for today. In the next one, we'll probably go over setting the pricing and what I figure out there.